Hi, welcome to the Henry Ford Engineering Week. My name is Michele Mueller, and I work for the Michigan Department of Transportation. I'm very happy to be here to talk to you about the things that the Department of Transportation does in the connected and automated vehicle space. I have worked for the department for over 20 years. I've been in different departments such as design, construction, and then more into the technical space of our intelligent transportation system, which is our signs and our cameras that are on the freeway to manage traffic, as well as now I focus most of my time on the connected and automated vehicles. What we do is we work on the infrastructure side, so we manage all of the state road infrastructure within the state of Michigan. As our role in managing the infrastructure for the connected and automated vehicle work, the connected, what is connected? What do we mean when we say connected? What we mean is that we have our road infrastructure that is actually connected to and communicating with other elements that are using that infrastructure, such as a car, a bike, a pedestrian. And then we merge that into what do we mean when we say autonomous. So autonomous is what you may have seen and heard as self-driving. So what that is, you have a self-driving vehicle that may transport you, say, to work or to the grocery store, and the vehicle is actually in control instead of you as the human that you're used to today. We use the terminology at the Department of Transportation of automated, which brings together the connected and the autonomous, and we call that automated. Why is that automated? It is because what we like to do is we like to have the car operating and functioning on the infrastructure and knowing where it's at, and it's communicating with things such as traffic signals. It understands where the lines are on the roadway. It understands construction zones so that it can make decisions to operate and function on the road system. So as part of that, to do it, as I said, we work with the infrastructure side. So we have to work with companies and industry partners that work on the vehicle side, that develop technology for pedestrians and bicyclists, more than non-motorized systems, so that we can understand where they are on the roadway. And then also, how do we give them information to make decisions? So with the industry partners, we work all the way from very large industry partners that you may know, such as a General Motors, a Toyota, a Ford, all the way down to very small startup companies that you may not be as familiar with. We don't only work with auto companies, we also work with software developers, we work with communication companies, and many other assets that have to do with the infrastructure and the cars communicating and talking to each other. This does get into different areas that you may use as a user of the infrastructure, and that is transit systems. We do work with emergency responders, so that would be such as police, fire, ambulance, those functions. Also connecting and communicating with our snowplow fleet and maintaining the road infrastructure side. Part of that also includes that the state owns road infrastructure that also connects to infrastructure that's owned by maybe your local city or county. And we have to work with those local agencies as well, so that the infrastructure and the technology is all working together and collaboratively. We have testing facilities that are in the state of Michigan that a lot of the companies and industry partners that we work with utilize those testing facilities for development of their technology. They do a lot of testing there off-road in a secluded space that simulates what it's like to be in the real world environment. Once those systems have been tested and they go through rigorous testing for safety, and once that is completed, they actually go out and work with us to operate those systems on our roads. You may not notice it, may not be familiar to you, but we actually have a lot of connected and automated vehicles that are operating on Michigan roads today. We do have legislation in place in government acts that have allowed those systems to function and operate. Most of them that, if you do see them, have drivers in the driver's seat. Doesn't mean that they're actually driving that vehicle. What it means is they're there in case they need to take over that vehicle while they're testing. The other benefits that we see as a department to this technology is really looking at things such as helping people who have disabilities. So imagine somebody in your family who has a visual impairment, now you're giving them the opportunity with this autonomous technology and these automated vehicles to maybe get to the doctor's appointment or get to their family's house for a fun function. And then things such as moving our children around. How do maybe this as an opportunity to get kids safely. You're at work, you're trying to juggle multiple things as we all are today. And these systems can actually, this vehicle could come and it could pick up your child and take your child to school, right? So you start looking at some of those added benefits to the technology and doing it safely. We do, from a safety perspective as a department, we do see a majority of the crashes that happen that actually are about over 90% due to human error. That's a pretty big number. If you can take and implement the technology and the systems that we are looking at, both connected and automated, and we can reduce that and take that human error away, we now will save many lives and work towards our zero fatality goals. So as we continue to talk about the things that the Department of Transportation does with connected and automated vehicles, I am very passionate about my job. I'm very passionate about providing safety and mobility to our citizens, our motoring public. I have my own family, I have my own kids, and I really want them to be safe. This technology is safe. The technology continues to develop and grow, and there are opportunities for inclusion of others. We do a lot of work as the Department of Transportation, as well as with our industry partners and agencies, to promote career growth, career development, interest, share the technology. There's a lot of students out there that we interact with. I actually chair the board for an entity called Square One Education Network that does deal with the K through 12 space. And what we do with those kids is we interact with them. We give them and teach them how to build, say, a vehicle. And, they work on that. They work on the instrumentation. They work on some of the technical pieces. They do some of the software development type tasks. They do some of the electrification and things like that. They make these little module vehicles, and they make them autonomous. And they understand hands-on how the technology works. And then in some cases, they actually take those and they meet with other schools. We provide in the past, we've provided one of our testing environments. And these kids have actually gotten together and they do challenges associated to those. So how can you be involved? How can your child find out about these opportunities? And I've had many tell me, which is, a career goal and passion, right, is that we've changed lives. We've changed lives with educating kids on these opportunities, things they didn't know that they could actually do. Everyone thinks when you talk about, a GM or a Ford or a Bosch or whoever, that you have to deal with a car, right? You don't have to just do a car anymore. The cars have become now more than just metal and a gas pedal and a steering wheel and a driver. They've now become software, and they've now become incremental and instrumental in the different pieces and aspects to actually make a car function. They look at things such as infotainment systems, development of the human interface portions of those vehicles, and how the human actually understands what the vehicle is telling it. So those are all opportunities for career, and it's not just careers for kids. Keep in mind, this is careers for adults. We have many, many instances where we have people that are going back to school, which is a great thing, right? They found something they have a passion in, and they go back to school and they want to develop those skills. We do a lot of work with our community schools and systems. We do a lot of work with colleges, both for, say, 2-year programs, 4-year programs, technical skills, and those types of things to actually work hands-on. We have staff and we have partners of ours that actually teach some of the classes. That's really cool, right? They're opportunities that people just have never had, and now they're out there. They're out there to explore, and they're out there to learn more about, both from a very small scale all the way up to, that's what they do for the rest of their life. So what are those opportunities? Like I said, I work with an entity called Square One Education Network. There are other STEM programs out there. A lot of the schools have those in that K through 12 space. So I encourage, if your child shows interest in those types of things, if you show interest in those, reach out, understand I am always here and happy to help connect those points for you and provide opportunities, provide insight, answer questions, and all of those. There's a lot of classes now that are even online. So, going through the pandemic and things like that has been very different for all of us, but we've all learned and found ways to adapt and continue that growth, both for us and for our families. So I encourage you to reach out. I encourage you to get to know the technology, understand it's safe. I would put my kids in the technology today. I'd put them in an autonomous vehicle and take them to school if I had the opportunity. Right now, they're all test fleets. You can't buy an autonomous vehicle today, but in the near future, that will be happening. There are systems that come off the line today. So as you go to maybe this afternoon or tomorrow, you go to pick your kid up from school, or you go to take your one of your family members to the doctor's, and you're riding down the road and your blind vision system kicks on to tell you that there's somebody next to you, right? You get maybe a little flash depending on the vehicle you drive in your mirror. Maybe you have forward collision warnings on your vehicles today, things such as adaptive cruise control, all these things that we know and we take for granted every day as we're driving. These are all systems that are in that connected space, and we just continue to grow on those. We continue to make those changes and make those safety implementations into our network. So I encourage you, as you can tell, I love what I do. I'm very passionate about it. I'm passionate about safety and mobility. The Department of Transportation is here. We're always happy to answer any questions. And if you want to link up to an industry partner, we can do that too. So if you ever have any questions, I'm happy to provide my contact information. You can always feel free to reach out to me.